Hi, I'm Sarah R. Turnquist. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's all about being edified and entertained. Today we're going to talk about how I go about researching for my historical romance novels. Currently, I'm working on the fourth book in the Lady Bornikova series, The Lady and Her Secret. So I am deep into the research for this series right now and for this particular book. These books take place in Bohemia, current day Czech Republic, during the Hussite Wars, which were religious civil wars. These wars lasted about 15 years. I first learned about these wars during time that I spent in the Czech Republic, where I fell in love with the people, the architecture, the country, the culture, and I learned about these Hussite Wars, which sparked the creation of this series. Now I want to talk a little bit about how I go about that research, as I promised. The first thing that I do is some deeper character development. I used to be what is called a pantser, right by the seat of my pants. Pretty much the first book in the series was written that way. As I've grown and honed the craft of writing, I've become more of a planner, plotter, where I do some character development and some basic plot development before I begin writing. So the first thing I do, as I said, is delve into those characters. I have some profile worksheets, I have some exercises that I do that maybe I'll talk about in another video. And then the next thing I do is outline that story and the character journey. And then I start researching the history. So for this book, since I've already written 3 books in the series, I was already somewhat familiar with this period, actually quite familiar with this period. It takes place in the early to mid 1400s, so we're talking medieval period, and I'm also an avid reader in that period. So I found some nice books, and I like to divide research into a couple of different categories. There are resources that I would call more of like a bird's eye view, like a flyover of a time period or event. One of the books that I'm using for the Hussite Wars looks like this. And it's very thin because, again, it's just a basic flyover of the Hussite Wars, these events. It tells me generally what happened, the movement of the troops, those kind of things. But then I have this other fabulous resource called Warrior of God. It talks about Jan Žižka. The whole book really focuses on Jan Žižka, who was the general of the Hussite army. And this gives me more of what I would call a worm's eye view, more on the ground, what it was like for the army, what kind of weapons they fought with, what kind of strategist was the general, what kind of struggles did he face, those kind of things. And these again are both nonfiction. It's another thing that researchers, whether you're writing paper or a novel, you have to be very careful about the resources that you use and making sure that they're primary resources or well-researched resources. So I would say things like experts in the fields or experts on that type of information, like professors in that area of study, as well as historical documents like diary entries, letters, periodicals. All of those things are very, very helpful when you're doing research. Something that's interesting about writing historical romance is when you do your research can influence the character journeys. The research can give you plot points. It can give you a twist if you need it, those kind of things. So it's a wonderful weaving of the fictional story with the actual events, and they can inform each other in that way. Thank you so much for listening to me share a little bit about how I do my research. Make sure you click the subscribe button and hit that bell icon. See you next time.